today, and we've had rain off and on for a couple of days, but it's kind of cloudy today. It's really nice. It's cooled off, but I got my gourds off the vine. The stems were turning brown, and I'm really excited about my gourds this year. I've got all kinds of different shapes and sizes, so I'm really... You see the cucumbers? That's what I planted this year, was English cucumbers. And what it done, I guess, one of the seeds got down here in the greenhouse. And of course we've had this side the top off of the greenhouse, and it's just grew right up the side, and we done ate a couple of cucumbers off of them, and they were really good. And I guess because of the cool weather, it keeps them from being bitter. But I really dread it because it's going to have to come down, and I've got several little cucumbers that's trying to come on. I don't know if I can somehow get it off there without killing it, but it's got to come down because I got to put the top on. And this is a Italian pepper plant that I planted here in the greenhouse, and I hope I can keep it most of the winter. Now I put up a bunch of bell peppers, but I love fresh bell peppers, so I'm hoping maybe I can keep it warm enough in here that maybe I can keep a few fresh ones for the winter time. And I've got spinach and stuff that I've planted, and it's trying to come up. I've got different kinds of greens and collards and stuff, and there right there's a tomato plant that come up by itself. I don't know how it's going to do. We're going to wait and see. You can see my squash plants are starting to wilt and die off, but I'm still getting a few squash. Not too bad for this time of year. And the only thing that I love about it is because this time of year I don't have any squash bugs to fight. Squash bugs like dry, hot weather. Right now we've had enough rain and it's cool, so I guess they went back down underground. Thank goodness. Because I'm telling you, I've been fighting them all summer. And I'm still getting peppers out here. And you can see there's that cucumber plant going up my greenhouse. I'm just going to let it go till it dies. And I've gotten a lot of these little cherry peppers off of these plants. I put them in the freezer. I need to trim all this mess back. That's all my tomato plants. They've got to be hauled off, trimmed down, hauled off. You can see right there's the second batch of green beans that I planted. And like I said, they did make several green beans, but they weren't real good green beans. They weren't the best. I'll try again next year. I just had no luck with them this year. Don't know why. Don't know what the difference is. And I've got some more little squashes coming up. I'm not going to give up to them until they absolutely, I guess, we get a frost and then they'll be gone. But until then, I'm going to leave them. I've got an acorn squash right back there. As soon as the stem starts turning brown, I'll get it off there. Right here's just regular yellow squash. And I had this little cabbage. I planted cabbage seed in there and it come up. It's not going to make no cabbage. I know it's not before frost, but I just can't hardly pull it up. I may try to dig it up tomorrow and maybe transplant it in the greenhouse because I really don't want it to die. If it's going to grow and come on up and try, I'm going to try to help it. And this right here, this vine going up the fence here, it come up out of my compost bin. This is where I put all my scraps. But I thought it was cucumbers. But that's not cucumbers. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was somebody can tell me. Maybe it's cantaloupe. Maybe I had cantaloupe seed in my compost bin and didn't realize it. That may be what that is. I don't know. Now, I've got some sage right here that I need to harvest and cut it back. And I dried a bunch of it this summer too. And I've got a bunch of blooms on this eggplant. And it's a-growing. It's doing good. It waited a little late to really start producing good. But look, it's a pretty plant. But it just kind of halted during the summer for a while, and now it's really taken off. But I want you to look. These are Japanese. These are Japanese eggplants. And there's several on here. Here's one. Right here. So maybe I'll get several at one time. Because when you come out here and you just get one Japanese eggplant, it's not enough to do a lot with. Here's another one. And I told Danny I probably won't plant this kind anymore unless I planted several plants, because like I said, you have to have several of them little bitty suckers to do anything with them. You're better off planting the big regular globe eggplants. I mean, these taste good. Just takes a lot of them. And they're pretty. I think that's pretty. Especially when you got them hanging all over the tree. Right there is a cabbage plant that I planted the seed, and it's trying to come on. I'll have to dig it up and put it in the greenhouse too, I guess. Back there is sweet potato vine, and that's where a lot of my herbs are, is in that little bed in the corner. And this was my first butternut squash plant of the year. It's been here since spring, and it died a couple times. I cut it back, and I cut it back, and it died, and it'd give me another one, 2 or 3 of squash. And last time I cut it back, it done this again, and it's going to give me, well, it's going to give me at least one more butternut squash. And that one out there done the same thing. But it's going to give me another one. Now, it had more squash on it, but they got in rot, so I had to pull them off. I've got chocolate mint I need to cut back. My rosemary's about done for the winter. Now, I got thyme back here in the corner, and there's some spearmint that's got to be cut back. So everything's just ready to go dormant, be done for the winter, I'm sure. And this right here is my bucket full of collards. And I think as long as I keep them covered up this winter, I think they'll be fine. I'll just cut off of them and we'll eat them as they go. It just keeps getting thicker and thicker in the bucket. So I'm going to try as long as I can to keep them going. I don't think I'm going to put them in the greenhouse. I don't really have room in there. But I think if I keep it covered up, I think they'll be fine. I'm fixing to give the sweet potato bed a haircut. You see how pretty all them vines are, but they're fixing to get cut back. I really hate it because they are so pretty. But anyways, it's time for a haircut. Let the energy go to the sweet potatoes for just a little bit, and then I'll dig my potatoes. Now, it's been too wet last couple of days to be digging sweet potatoes. But wait till next weekend. So I'm hoping for some pretty good sweet potatoes. Mr. Brown loves sweet potato pie. I wanted to show y'all my cardinal vine. It's a lot prettier in the morning. I think they bloom. I have a lot more blooms on it in the morning time. And I can't remember, maybe somebody can tell me, I can't remember if this is a perennial or not. I'm hoping it is, because I'm just going to cut it back. And hopefully it'll come back next year, but it's took over the fence. In fact, it's took over and it's going up the gate. But they're really pretty flowers. They're called cardinal vine. Really pretty. Of course, my curiosity got the best of me. Anyways, I trimmed back all my sweet potato, well, most of the vines, and I could not help it. I had to dig some up just to see. I was going to wait till next weekend. But that's a pretty sweet potato. They're not huge, but that's the right size. To me, that's just the right size sweet potato. So if they are about this size throughout the garden, I'll be happy. So like I said, I just couldn't wait. I had to dig some up. Well, I dug up some of the sweet potatoes. I just couldn't help myself. But you can see where I trimmed all the vines back. And I just went to digging. I was probably just a little bit too wet, but it was fine. So I've got me a pan full of sweet potatoes right now. Got most of them dug. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll put them underneath the house like I always do and let them cure for a while. And then I'll can them. The ones that are little, let's see, like this size or smaller. This is how I grew my sweet potatoes this year. I left these underneath the house, and right before spring, they started making slips. And then I brought them in the house, and I kind of boosted them up a little bit before I put them out in the garden. And I had tons of slips. So I've not had to buy sweet potato slips in a while, because I just do my own. But you need to cure your sweet potatoes after you dig them. I'm able to put mine underneath the house. During the winter, it stays warm enough under there and dark, and they'll cure. So I'll leave them under there for a little while before I can them up, because the longer you let them cure, the sweeter and better they'll be. And Mr. Brown likes his sweet potatoes. This is a volunteer tomato plant, and I think it's the little cherry tomatoes. And this is my bed that I'm getting ready to plant my garlic in. This is where I grow my garlic. But we had put compost in here and covered it with this old rotten straw. And we'll work all that in before we plant the garlic. But anyways, this was a volunteer tomato plant, and I think I am going to try to dig it up and replant it in the greenhouse. I mean, all I can do is kill it, or it'll live, one or the other. But if it stays out here, it's going to die. because it is going to be getting cold here this week. So I think I'm going to try it and just see what it does. And there's also a couple more tomato plants that come up down here. And on the other side, there's a tomatillo plant. So I'm thinking about digging them up and replanting them in greenhouse. I mean, what if I got to those? We'll see how it works. I'm still getting
this
stuff
video,
out
give me a
of
thumbs
the
up.
garden.
Love you guys.
And I've replanted quite
Share
a bit
it.
of stuff to go into the winter.
Subscribe.
But it makes me happy
And
that
everybody
everybody
have
have
a
this time of
beautiful
year.
week.
And a lot of stuff is
And God
dying back.
bless.
But I'm still getting quite a bit.